So you also saw another film by another director that we like, Justin Kurzel. He made a new film starring Jude Law and Nicholas Hoult, and that one's called The Order. So what I understand about The Order is that it is a period piece from the 70s,
Early 80s.
early 70s, early 80s. Got it, got it. In which Jude Law plays a FBI agent, some sort of law enforcement that is tracking a series of bank robberies that appear to be related to a white supremacist neo-Nazi group.
You are correct. Yeah, he plays an American FBI agent who is based in New York City, who moves to the Pacific Northwest to try to, in an effort to calm down and take less stressful cases on,
Hmm.
that's his hope. And yeah, Jude Law, who is not American,
Hmm.
is directed by Justin Kurzel, who is not American. And the antagonist, Nicholas Holt, who is not American, are all playing Americans. And that's one of the most fascinating things about this movie, in my opinion.
Yeah. So when I saw the trailer and grasped the premise for this, I thought, holy hell, that sounds awesome. And this was something I was really wanting to find a chance to see this week. Just wasn't able to get there.
Well, now we got to talk about that. This one had the biggest problem with a release in our area.
Hmm.
So one of our go-to AMC's that programs a lot of cool stuff had this movie on opening night. So I was like, cool, we'll get to see it. It'll be playing. It played opening night and vanished from that theater. I guess it played there one night and then only a handful of theaters got it after that.
Yeah,
And
and I wonder if is that just for a qualifying run or like what? What? It just it's
I don't
so
know.
doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't know, but luckily for me, the landmark, you know, a couple blocks from my house had it. So
Yeah.
I got a chance to catch a matinee of it. Um anyway, yeah, Jude Law's character Terry Husk, let me just right out of the gate say just like the last movie we talked about, this is a career best performance from Jude
Okay,
Law.
now with Daniel Craig, that's one thing, because like he's only had a handful of like truly great performances because he's been caught up playing Benoit Blanc and James Bond for so long.
Hmm.
Jude Law has his career is littered with fantastic performances,
He's one of the greats. Yeah.
but you still think that this is his best.
This movie is tailor-made for me, okay? Justin Kurzel, I don't think I've talked about it enough how much I love Justin Kurzel. I love, well, I've never seen Assassin's Creed. You have. You can tell me how good that
You
is.
don't need to.
But you know what? Whatever. It was a chance for a paycheck, and I'm sure he didn't get creative rights in that movie. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that.
You can
Uh,
tell that he didn't.
right. We may talk about that with J.C. Shandor too. We never know. Um, but yeah, I mean, his other movies that I've seen, True History of the Kelly Gang, I didn't love, but man, Snowtown Murders, or what do we call it, Snowtown?
Hmm.
His debut film,
Love
absolutely
it.
wrecked me.
I rewatched it last summer and it still holds up. It is so dang good.
It, and the way he depicts violence in his movies, he makes it actually kind of straightforward and almost it is kind of disturbing, and not because it's overly gory. It's just kind of plainly depicts it, actually how
Hmm.
you would see violence happen if you saw it in real life.
Yeah.
And that's what he does in this movie, across the board, all the way through. Um, and I think he does that also in Nitram, uh, the previous movie he made.
Yeah, I'm dying to see that too.
It's chilling. It's a chilling movie, and I think this movie at times is too. Now, people who have criticized this movie, even people who like it, criticize it for being too much of a yeah, well, we've seen this before. It's got the tropes of a crime drama with, you know, I'll I'll give you that with maybe some elements of this movie, but because of how well executed everything is in this thing, it had me from the minute it opened, and it doesn't let up. Jude Law, there are a couple of times when he chews too hard, but even that is enjoyable.
Yeah.
He gets to play this guy, Justin Kurzel. I think the movie benefits from having an Australian director make this American crime drama because he just extracts all of the potential glossy melodrama for that, or like I just said with violence, he doesn't depict it as like, ooh, this is going to be entertaining. No, it's actually just like, holy shit. Um, this is this is just plainly realistic. And
Yeah, when you shoot violence like very plainly without a whole lot of sensationalism in the editing or the score or anything like that, camera movements, things like that, it it can be a lot more jarring than sensationalizing it.
it is,
Um,
and he achieves that tenfold in this. So Terry Husk, Jude Law's character, comes
what a
to the
great name.
great name, comes to the Pacific Northwest alone. We find out through conversations that he has a wife and two daughters. There is no other backstory explained about these people in his life, his family. You just casual conversations come up where they ask him when his family's coming to move there with him, and
Hmm.
he kind of shuts the conversation down, and you just see this darkness in this guy without any backstory being told. There's an unknowing quality to that throughout the whole movie, which I
Yeah,
appreciate.
we just need to know about them. That's all.
But you kind of get the sense that, and this is another people, a trope that, sure, yeah, it's done, but I think it's done all the time because these types of people are just this way. Like we said with Maria Callas, this guy is the only thing he knows how to do is he's obsessed with this, and he goes too far with it, his job, and he's developed an addiction to prescription pills, and he has nosebleeds, and he's not slowing down. You,
Wait, you're talking Terry Husk, not Brett Favre?
I mean, I'm not going to tell you if Brett Favre is in this or not. Um,
I feel like you would have by now.
yeah. Anyway, so Husk is investigating bank robberies that are certainly linked. It's obvious that they're linked. But as he digs deeper and with information from one of the local deputies who know people of his age in the town, much younger group that is linked to what could possibly be like an Aryan Nation 20 somethings group who are hiding out in the Pacific Northwest, kind of funding their goals by robbing banks and forming an army to eventually get to their ultimate goal, which is domestic terror and just kind of leading an army to overtake what they say is a nation that has been taken from them. Um, and that deputy who kind of takes Husk as his, I want to say, mentor ultimately, which probably isn't the best choice, is played by Ty Sheridan,
Hmm.
who's I've always rooted for, always been a big
Yeah,
fan. Um, Without saying much, his character is the one that gets criticized the most um, for
really.
not the performance, but the character and kind of you can kind of see where the character's going. Um, you can guess it
Yeah.
pretty early on. But even then, like I said, I was enraptured by the whole thing by that time. So I was invested. And then, this is a long way of getting to the point where Nicholas Holt plays Bob Matthews, who is following the code of this handbook with 6 steps to, like I mentioned before, build an army. And he he adds another notch to his belt. He's having the best year of anybody in movies. As far as range though, he's pushing himself in so many new directions, and it's fascinating to watch. He's chilling in this movie, um, and it's very subtle and smart. The choices he makes the whole way. Uh, he he plays this guy who was a real life person. This all really happened.
Hmm.
Um, as a man with, he wants to continue his name with men, with boys. He wants to reproduce, and particularly with boys, of course. And his wife can't have children. And so
Mm.
he basically just starts. He finds another girl and makes sure that he can at least get something out of out of his seed.
I
Um,
don't like that.
and he leads both of these lives on, and it doesn't care if these women know about each other. And he plays it in a reserved way, and he's scary. He's scary in this movie. I didn't know Nicholas Hoult had this in him,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, is that's a gear that I didn't know he had.
and he pulls it off. It's fascinating,
Huh.
and you know that Husk and Matthews are going to have their moment. And let me tell you, when this
Their
happens,
their Pacino De Niro in the diner moment.
people are still talking about. There's a lot of people talking about that too, um, but they have their moment, and the conclusion I think could not have been better. This movie's amazing.
Um, so tell me, how's Journey Smollett?
You know, when she shows up initially, you're just like, oh no, they're gonna give her a thankless role. She's gonna get a couple scenes, and just gonna kind of not give her much to do. No, she has a significant role as the movie goes along, and I think she's very good in it. She has scenes with Jude Law one on one that are impressive. Uh, I found her great. I don't think there's a bad performance in this movie, including Mark Maron, who plays a very familiar role for him. He plays a radio host,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
uh, apparently very famous radio host named Alan Berg, who kind of most of the topics on his show are about race and specifically the Jewish community in the area, and he gets a lot of people calling in from the white supremacists and stuff like that. And that group, Matthew's group, always has his show on in their like combine. And so they kind of have him targeted as one of their dots along the way as far as like
I
m
see.
messages they want to get across eventually.
I see.
So Mark Maron is great in just a couple of scenes. And yeah, Jed Kurzel, Justin Kurzel's brother, phenomenal score. One of the five best scores of the year.
That's something I've heard is that score is excellent.
It's great. It's very unique. I've never really heard a score quite like this one. Um,
So it sounds like you're really high on this.
really high on this movie. Um, I have to see it again. Hopefully, the second time I'm not as annoyed by the CGI elk that don't look so great. Um, but other than that, it's damn near perfect.
What'd you give it?
4.5.
I am even more excited to see this now.
Everyone's, they everyone's talking about like, yeah, there's some of the tropes in there, but how often do we get these movies anymore?
Yeah, true.
These R-rated straight crime dramas with great performances, great direction, great score. They don't come out in the theaters very much anymore.
Well, neither does this. This doesn't come out in the theater very much.
I just was looking this up. I don't know what the hell happened there. I mean, uh, but it's already scheduled to be streaming on the 24th.
What? Where?
Well, for rent.
Oh, okay, I see.
And then Amazon Prime sometime like in January, I guess.
Wild. Well, I'm definitely going to see it.
You got to see it before. making your list. You never know.